Welcome to the world-renowned Invest in Her podcast with your host, Catherine Gray. Catherine is a keynote and TEDx speaker, author, executive producer of the movie Show Her the Money, also CEO and founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. Our weekly show of powerhouse women, founders, funders, and changemakers is sure to inspire you. Let's go.
Welcome to this week's episode of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation, as well as executive producer of the new movie, Show Her the Money. We hope that you've seen it, and if not, please check out our website, showherthemoneymovie.com, to see where the film is coming to you, or maybe even book a screening. So as you know, every week on Invest in Her, we have incredible women. So today's guest is, she is one of the 2025 100 women to know. Hello, who doesn't want to know her? And the most influential women to watch in America by Enterprise World. Let's welcome to the show the CEO of the Association of Women Business Centers, Corinne Goble. Hi, Corine.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Catherine. What a great introduction. I'm feeling super special and important right now.
Well, you are. And we're so happy to have you on today to learn about this. I mean, you guys have over 100 offices around the world, correct? I mean, around the country.
Yeah, around the country, over 150.
150. Okay, so women business centers. I'm excited to hear about this. What are they? How did this get started? Let's hear about this. I know you're coming to us from Louisville, Kentucky today. I assume there's one there.
Yeah, we have women's business centers in every state, in multiple cities. They're often lurking in the background. You might not even know there's one down the street or next door to you, it's an unfortunate case because of how we're funded, that we're hard to find. And so I'm excited to be here with you today, Catherine, and all of your listeners, to tell everyone about these amazing resources because they're free. And people often don't realize that. There are 150 of them. They're all federally funded in part through the Small Business Administration. That's the kind of single thing that links us together, is that funding. And they all provide counseling and training to help primarily women, but they'll serve anyone, start a business or, importantly, help it grow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an amazing resource. I'm excited to share this today. So does that mean it's government funded?
In part, yes. We have what's called a partnership, a cooperative agreement with the Small Business Administration, where every women's business center who receives the maximum funding from the government, it's $150,000 per year, they're required to go get a match, at least 100% of that. So $150,000 private funding matched with $150,000 in federal funding.
And I'm not sure everybody's question on their mind, at least mine is, I'm pretty sure it's everybody. How have you been affected by, the government pulling back on some of these resources? Are you guys okay?
Thank you for asking. It's been a wild and rocky year, let me tell you. But I don't know. I sometimes think that adversity can be our greatest companion. It can be the thing that propels us into some better place. And for those who are like technical and into the politics and government affairs stuff, we saw the president's skinny budget come out that zeroed out women's business centers and shrank funding for the Small Business Administration. And we were scared, right, when we saw that. And so many people think that, well, a president's budget is our national budget, and that, fortunately, this time around was not the case and isn't the case. the president's budget comes out, and then that's really kind of a messaging to Congress. And that's the president and the administration's way every year to tell Congress what they prioritize and what they want to see. And so we're now in the process in our country of going through the national budget process called appropriations. And so the House will have a budget, the Senate will have a completely different version, and then the two will have to conference to reconcile and eventually pass what will become our official national budget. Thankfully, we are seeing really great signs, unprecedented support for women's business centers. Many of your listeners may have even signed on to a letter. We had 20,000 letters go to Congress asking for funding. And this time we're seeing in the House budget, women's business centers are actually spelled out in the legislation, whereas before we'd only been mentioned in an accompanying report. Now we're actually in the law. So this is precedent setting, fully funding us, and bipartisan, led by Republicans in this majority cycle right now. And so, yeah, what started out as a really scary moment is turning into, I think, a wonderful opportunity for us.
That's amazing. That's good news. So happy to share some good news. So this is specifically for funding for the Association of Women Business Centers. I also see, speaking of legislation, that you actually played a key role in something called the Women's Business Center Improvement Act of 2023. Please tell me about that, because it says here it modernized and strengthened the SBA's WBC program, which I gather is helping fund women.
Well, yes. Well, I want to go back to something you said a moment ago, which was that the federal funding will fund the Association of Women's Business Centers. That's actually not true. We at the association don't receive any federal dollars at all. And so,
okay.
yeah, we operate on private funding, and we could talk more about that later, but it's the women's business centers who get the federal funding, and then we support them. We're actually a funder as well for the women's business centers through the association. So just since we're on the record, I thought I would correct that.
Okay, so that funding, that federal funding goes to the centers, and then the association helps raise the money for the centers as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks for explaining that. Okay.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's complicated, and it usually takes people hearing it a couple times to figure out how it all works. But your question was then about, gosh, now I've lost it. Remind me.
The Women's Business Center Improvement Act 2023 that you impacted.
Yeah, that bill passed the House, but unfortunately didn't pass the Senate. And so I feel like that we're in a government affairs 201 class today, talking about, how bills become laws, but we're stuck in the technicality all the time. And so we got a great bill, it passed the House, we had support in the Senate, but it's really difficult to get a law passed, especially when you have a small program and the Small Business Administration, even to authorize that entire agency. It hasn't happened in many years. And so we're hoping in this 2025-2026 congressional cycle that we'll have another bite at the apple at getting a bill like that or a new version of it, but to pass and become both chambers in the same legislative cycle so that this thing can become a law and improve the women's business centers.
Now I know why you're one of the 100 women to know and one of the women to watch in America, because, I just really applaud anybody who out there trying to actually impact lawmaking. I mean, I know it's not easy, so I really applaud that. And if I can assess this correctly, I think you're going to come out a winner in this. I'm sure you won't stop until you do.
I guess they say nothing is worth doing if it's easy.
Yeah.
So this definitely feels like it's worth doing. And you can imagine we're going to have a very big party when we get this thing passed, because it's been in the works for a long time. Yes, you're invited.
So tell me about these women business centers. How do people find them?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, because I love to help people get help. And We just basically say like if the business owner can bring the spark, like we're going to bring everything else, to help you fan the flame and get that business up and running. Um, the I think the easiest way is for folks to find us at awbc.org. We're the Association of Women's Business Centers, or I'm going to add another URL here because I think it's also really helpful. We created another brand to be more accessible to businesses called Hope to Women. And Hope stands for helping others by promoting entrepreneurship. Hope.
Oh, I
Two, the
love
number.
what a what a great acronym.
Thank you. HopeToWomen.org has not only the directory, like how to find a women's business center, and that's really easy to find on our website. We also have a whole bunch of free resources. Um, Show Her the Money. I just love the name for that production. We're kind of trying to do that. We're trying to help people find the funding they need. So we've got a full funding journey there at Hope to Women. And then sometimes when people reach out to us, it's 2 o'clock in the morning because they can't sleep. They've got an urgent question or something's hit them or they have anxiety. So we have a lot of like online and recorded resources as well because we're not always at work when they want to call and talk to us. But they can also get free help from us at Hope to Women while they're waiting to get that appointment with their Women's Business Center.
Okay. Now, the Women's Business Center, they give grants too, I am reading here. Is that correct?
In some cases, the funny thing about women's business centers is like they're all so different. If you went to the Women's Business Center in Albuquerque, it is not going to look anything like a women's business center in Ukiah, California. I mean, they're just so some have access to grants. Like, here's a great example. We Venture in Melbourne, Florida. They have a partnership with the city of Cocoa where for all of the business owners that come through their Ignite 360 program and start a new business, they're eligible for these city grants. And if you don't go through their education at the Women's Business Center, you can't qualify for the city grant. And so it may be that there's a grant at the center, or it may just open a door to us to a grant that you otherwise might not have even known about or couldn't have been eligible for.
So you have 150 business centers around the country. That's a lot. I know women are going to want to find them. I'm so glad you gave this URL so it helps them to find it. Hope to women .org. Right?
.org. Yep. Yep.
And so this would be like a woman who's in the community who says, gosh, I either just started a business or I want to start a business. I need some support. Can they also, is the center to work out of?
So in some cases, yeah, we have co-working spaces at the centers. And it's just so different. Every center so unique. Like some centers, they actually they run it out of like their cars. If they're out in like, you know, Wyoming or Oklahoma, it might be that the center advisors are getting in their car and driving to the homes or the businesses of these individuals so that they can reach them because in these wide expansive places, maybe the business owners can't all come to a central place or maybe the city, isn't accessible for everyone. So they're so different.
And then in other places, it's like where you are in Louisville, Kentucky, it's a physical place they can come and get support. And exactly what kind of support? So I'm a new business owner. I want to find my women's business center in my area. It sounds like they have advisors there. And some of them have workspaces. So tell me, I'm wanting to start the business or I just am starting the business and I need help. What are all the services that you provide?
Oh, thank you so much for asking that. It's everything on the journey that the business owner needs. If the business is in the idea stage, we're going to get into their heads and try to figure out like frankly, not is the idea valid. We're not there to judge it, but are they in a good position to be starting the business in the first place? Do they have the resources and the capital that they're going to need to get this up and running? So we're there for consultation That's what that counseling and some of the places might call it coaching. That's what they're doing. In many cases, though, they're committed. They're coming in like resolved. They know they're going to start the business, and now they just need to know the mechanics of how to do it. Women's business centers will often put a founder on one of two paths. Either it's like an education path to say, look, learn more about the business plan so that you can write one. So get into the business plan workshop or this upcoming education class. Or it might be the business owner says, I want to start a food truck. And this women's business center might have a food truck accelerator program. And they may say, get into the food truck accelerator program so you can really get, this thing launched. And we've got this industry specific education just for you, just happen to be here at the right time. Another thing might be the business owner may say, like, I'm still bringing my idea together. I'm not really sure. I need to work on the planning side. And in which case, we've got a lot of business across the network, a lot of business planning tools and resources. So, we work with a lot of different, there's no like perfect business plan tool, but one we really like is Live Plan. And so oftentimes the Women's Business Center will send the client the Live Plan link and say, go take a stab, make a first draft at your business plan, and then bring it back in and we'll take a look at it and see where do you need help? Where are some of the gaps? And I'd tell you, because I've got the opportunity and a microphone right in front of me, is the most important piece of the business plan is the financial forecast. Thinking through what is going to be the revenue, what are going to be the expenses, and thinking about it 3 years out. And all the business owners say the same thing. Well, we have no idea what it's going to be. Well, we know. But if you go through the process and discipline yourself on the thinking of the what ifs, even though it's just a guess, it's really going to help the development of the business plan and tell you, does it even financially make sense to do this plan? Like, if you have these customers come in the door and you can't make money with what they're paying you, do you want to do this business? And then you get to decide.
So your center could be resources for everything from financial planning to, I take it like marketing and maybe how do they get something manufactured, or is it all of those kind of resources?
Just like, yeah, everything you just said, it's every
What about
aspect.
loans? Could you help them with loans?
Absolutely. Yeah, funding is the number one thing. I mean, invest in her. Your podcast must be very busy and subscribed because we know the number one thing business owners need is funding to start and to grow their business. And they always think money's going to solve problems they have too. And so we not only will take it, Catherine, if they come to us and say we need money or we need help with a marketing plan, we try to go behind the question to find out, is there something more there that they really need? Is it
Mhm.
actually funding they need, or is it actually, do they need customers? Do they need business development help? Or do they need to change their pricing strategy? And so sometimes short term is funding, sometimes long term is something else.
Right, right. And so when you say maybe they need customers, can you help them with that? Can you help them with connections?
It's like you do this, like you ask people questions for a living. You're so good at it. Yes, yes, yes. Connections. Because we're the product of who we know, and who we know can mean everything for the success of a business. And so oftentimes a new business owner just doesn't know anybody in their sector, may not know bankers, may not know insurance agents, may not know accountants, may not know lawyers. And we've got not only resources with all of those, but many more, like investors like yourself, and many other kinds of potential resources like chambers of commerce and things that business owners are going to need.
Love that. Everybody needs to have a team around them, and it's great that this is basically free. I also see that you're a founding member of USMCA, small is standing for Small and Medium Enterprise Counselor Network. Tell us about that, because it says it's an effort between Mexico, Canada, and the United States to help businesses succeed through exports. So I think that's also a fascinating thing that you do. Just aside note, last year for Show Her the Money, we were invited to the Department of Homeland Security because it was a conference, so to speak, of women who were exporting and importing products. And I thought, oh, this is fascinating. So to see that you're involved with the network that helps with that too, I would think would be great for people in your business centers who have products that they would like to export. So tell us
Abs
about it.
Oh, sure. Thank you. I'd love to. The USMCA is US, Mexico, Canada, and it came in and replaced NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement.
Ooh.
The beautiful thing about that opportunity, and maybe most people wouldn't have even thought about it, but in the new agreement, the USMCA agreement, there were some provisions to protect and care for small businesses, SMEs, small and medium enterprises. As a part of that initiative, the small business aspect, there's a requirement in USMCA that convenes these small businesses in one of those three countries every year. So, um, uh, that founding year, I had the opportunity to go to Mexico City and actually meet with trade officials from all of those important North American countries to talk about how is international trade policy affecting our small businesses, and frankly, what are the barriers that we can help remove so that more small businesses can be successful accessing those markets. Uh, so yeah, I really believe that every small business is potentially a global business. Even just having your website up there and being visible, to interstate or international commerce puts you in that category. And so, um, we know small businesses don't have the time or the capacity to be policy experts. So if we can show up and be the voice of small business in places where policy makers need to hear about the interests of small businesses, then we love to show up and do that because, we're representing 200,000 small businesses through this network and who we're working with. So we feel like we've got a good handle on the pulse of what small businesses need and how they can be, what is it going to take for them to be more successful, accessing more markets, growing those businesses, and in turn, growing the American economy.
Yeah, I think small businesses, like some can't even fathom, hey, selling their products internationally. But so great that you bring that aspect to the table too. People are always going to want to know, how do they get in touch? And I know we've mentioned a couple websites. One is hopetowomen.org. The AWBC. What is that website for the Association of Women Business Centers?
That's right. Yep. Association of Women's Business Centers. We're kind of the umbrella over all of it. And then this hopetowomen.org is like a branch of what we do, just really focused specifically on the small business owners. Whereas at AWBC, we're also caring for and nurturing, the women's business centers and what they need.
Right. And the centers is awbc.org?
That's right.
.org. Okay, great. It was a guess. So, yeah, we want our listeners to check out the Women Business Centers, see what might be helpful to them. Just love that this is a resource. And then for those that want to export, to check out the Small and Medium Enterprise Counselor Network. What is that web address?
Oh gosh, I don't have the web address
I'm
right
sure
now.
they can
It's
Google that. So
prob
it's called USMCA, Small and Medium Enterprise Counselor Network. And that is for those wanting to export the products, Mexico, Canada, US, all working together.
and as a cheat for that, it's our women's business centers in many cases who are those counselors, as well as SBDCs and some other resource partners. So you can get access to those same counselors through Hope to Women, and also, like going to SBA or SBDCs as well.
Wonderful. Corine, thanks for all this great work you're doing. Are you on LinkedIn?
I'm definitely on LinkedIn. I see a lot of activity and I always pay attention to it. So if people message me through LinkedIn, I see it and I respond.
Sounds good. So look up Corinne Goble on LinkedIn. Of course, you can find me, Catherine Gray, there as well. Be sure to check out their website for all these resources, hopetowomen.org. What a great name. And of course, you have our websites, which are sheangelinvestors.com. Also, lots of resources. And of course, our movie site, showherthemoneymovie.com, to see what's going on with our film. Maybe it's in your city. Maybe you want to book a screening. We were in Louisville, Kentucky last year where
On my
Corine.
birthday,
Yeah, on your birthday.
July 19. Yep.
And we loved being there screening. It was a great group and such a great city. So thanks again for being a great guest, Corine. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make it a great week.